Coastal Farmhouse. In today's episode, we are going to share with you all about curb appeal and the things that we worked on to really, I guess, give a facelift, I would say, to the Coastal Farmhouse. Now, it's looking pretty good behind me. There's still a few things we're going to do, but oh my goodness, you have to see what this looked like when we got started. I gotta tell you, the Coastal Farmhouse was the biggest challenge we have faced yet on an exterior. It is a super flat front. The house was really ugly when we bought it, oh my goodness. And we've gone through a lot of developments with it to try to get it to look nice without having to do major construction. And so I think we did really well, but I'm excited to hear what you think about it. It is an absolutely gorgeous day here in Cocoa Beach, Florida, and I'm standing in front of our newest project called the Coastal Farmhouse. We're so excited about this project, and I'm starting on the outside because I've been working on getting the right color scheme and kind of figuring out what to do with this plain flat front, and I think we've got it. I was trying to avoid having to paint the stucco, and I think we're going to be able to leave it, which should save us about $2,000 on the project, which would be very helpful. And then I went on the colorizer and I painted the door from the picture.
Oh, cool.
And I'm like, okay, I'm still a little iffy on it, but Dave's he really thinks it should be a different color. And so I'm going to trust him and go with it. I feel good about it.
Nice. That sounds like a good idea.
Looking at where this was to where it is today is very different. But the interesting thing is we didn't change anything structurally, did we?
No, nothing.
I mean, initially I was like, we've got to build something up, and we didn't have to do it. The flower boxes, the guys did a great job with that. Just the landscape, I know Justin helped Levi a lot. They saved a lot of money with that.
Yes.
The cedar on the front. And look at this. I think this could be the thing that makes it really pop.
And you're going to bring pavers around here too, which will be, you'll actually have access to the front door. So that's our next step is going to be very nice.
Yeah, that will be nice. The driveway and just bringing it all together. It really took all of us to think through how we were going to make this ugly house look beautiful.
Yeah, which you certainly did.
Oh, thank you, Lee. We're in the front yard of the Coastal Farmhouse, and I want to share with you something really personal about my background that had a lot to do with us naming this the Coastal Farmhouse and the design that we have put together. I grew up in a really small town called Wells, Minnesota, and I spent my weekends going to my grandparents' farm all my years of growing up. Then I discovered the beach and I realized I am a beach girl. So what is really cool and special about the Coastal Farmhouse is I bring my love of the beach and my roots of the farm together. And when I did that, I had to think through, how do we mesh these two design styles and reflect that in the exterior of the home, so as soon as somebody pulled up or saw the pictures online, they would also have that combination of the beach and the tranquility of their farm. So there's several things that we did to bring these design elements in. First of all, when we purchased the property, the front landscaping was just square and it was just hibiscus bushes. And while those are beautiful, it didn't leave a lot of room for personality. And so we had Levi redesign the landscaping and bring some great curves into it. And as you can see, we definitely have a palm tree, but some of the shrubs here are also things that you would see in the place that I grew up in, Minnesota.
So let's talk about landscaping a little bit. Landscaping is one of my favorite aspects of these projects. I owned a tree service for years and I've just been around a lot of landscaping. We did something kind of unique for this house. There's a landscaping company that we usually use, but is very, very expensive. And for what we needed, I actually ordered all the material and picked out all the plants and used Photoshop to create this. It's a simple design, but create the design for this house, and just hired some subcontractors. And we ended up saving about $7,000 with this landscape in this case. And I'm happy with how it turned out. A few things to point out that I like to use in a lot of our houses, and we did in this one, is instead of using the plastic edging, which you have to dig down really far, a lot of times you can save money on labor by just getting aluminum edging that doesn't rust or erode, that doesn't have to go down all the way. This reduces the likelihood of like hitting a sprinkler line or something like that when the install is happening. So we did aluminum power lock for all the garden beds. And then instead of using mulch, in a lot of cases I recommend actually using pine bark nuggets. And the reason for that is they're about the same price per yard as traditional mulch, but mulch, as you know, erodes away, and pretty much here in Florida they have to be replaced almost every year. These pine bark nuggets will never erode away, and they're just like a lighter river rock as far as sustainability. They will be here for many, many years to come without the cost of bringing in rock.
You know that Levi and Dave built me these awesome cedar boxes. I grew up with flower boxes in Minnesota, and I love the look of them, and I wanted to recreate that look and bring it into the front of the Coastal Farmhouse. And finally, we went back and forth on what color the front door should be. I had it the sealskin like the rest of the trim on the house, and it just seemed, I don't know, a little harsh, maybe not enough of the coast in it to bring in that coastal element with the farmhouse. So we painted this the color Refuge, which when we went to Sherwin-Williams, Dave found that this was a complementary color to the alabaster and the sealskin. Now we are not completely finished, and I'll explain why. Is we are going to paint the vinyl in the windows sealskin. So we're not going through the expense of replacing the windows, but we're gonna make it look like we replaced the windows. Also, you may have noticed that the driveway is still very old asphalt. The reason for that is we're putting a pool in the backyard. Isn't that awesome? and we didn't want to have the backhoes and equipment drag across brand new pavers. So after we have the swimming pool in, we'll be bringing the pavers from the driveway and carving out a sidewalk that brings you right into the front door. And it is going to be a grand entrance for people into the coastal farmhouse.
Well, here we are in the backyard of the coastal farmhouse. And you saw the beautiful curb appeal when you came up to the front. Well, it's important to have that in the back as well. You come out of the back and you come to your backyard. Maybe the last thing you want to see is this shed right here. So we're actually going to move that and stick it past the eye portion of this yard, past the oak tree. The oak tree is really beautiful. That was planted about 20 years ago.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yes.
And it's got a great story.
It does. It was a neighborhood project. Unfortunately, there was a girl who passed away in the canal from a drowning accident. So the neighbors of this community, they got together and they planted these beautiful little oak trees that grew up, and on every street, many of the homes, you'll see an oak tree. In fact, some of them grow over the street like a canopy. So beautiful.
So beautiful.
And we happen to have one in the front yard, and then we have one in the backyard that you're looking at here. We enjoy both of them.
Now, I know that this is a lot of dead grass, but we realize, you said we've got a couple options here, right?
Yes.
We could either replace the grass, we could put in AstroTurf, or we could put in a swimming pool. So, Dave, tell them what we decided.
Well, we decided to go with the swimming pool because that made the biggest splash with all happiness with the family. It's a lot funner than AstroTurf.
Yeah.
Although you don't have to mow AstroTurf, so we're going to put in a little bit along the pool decking on the one side. But this is going to be a pool that's going to take in this area. We're going to have a great setup right behind the area here. That's going to be like the hangout and some canopies. Barbecue. This will all be walkway and pool decking, and then this is going to be a pool. And that's one reason why the shed's got to go, because we can't have a shed and a pool like cohabitating here.
So I know this looks very ugly right now in this space, but just in a few short months, this is going to be the favorite hangout place outside in the coastal farmhouse. A budget like we are, and actually everybody should be, whether you are remodeling an investor property like we are, or you're doing a remodel on your own home, I'm always looking for like some hacks that I can share with you, something that gives you a big look for a little price. And we did something on the front door that I love, and you may see again in another sweet tea season, and it is this side light, kind of, but it's not a light, that gives the appearance of a column, but it is horizontal slats of cedar. And it ties in this part of the house into the carport, and it adds a dimension to the house and an interest to the front door without us having to construct a new front entrance. This element only cost about $100 and took Levi and Justin just a couple hours to put it up on the side of the door. I would say for the impact that this provided, this is one of the best deals that we have in this whole project of the coastal farmhouse. I love walking on the beach in the morning and just seeing the beauty of the ocean and just how gorgeous it is. But also this morning, there's a lot of really big waves. And as I look out, there's surfers all over. And you know what? They're taking a risk. They're daring to go out there in the big waves because of the thrill and the satisfaction of when they get up on that surfboard. And in many ways, it's similar for us in real estate. There's a risk involved, and when we know that God has called us to a property, we stay with it, and it's something that has grounded us. It's really helped us to stay confident, stay free from fear, because we know God would not lead us into something that was not good. Also, one of the things that we realize is that we have an opportunity to really show God's love to people through this process, whether it's the real estate agents, the sellers, the renters, and we particularly love our contractors. Here's a scripture that just reminds me of this whole process in finding and locating, analyzing a property. I'm going to read it to you in the Message. It's Micah 6:8. Listen to this. But he's already made it plain how to live, what to do, what God is looking for in men and women. It's quite simple. Do what is fair and just to your neighbor. Be compassionate and loyal in your love. And don't take yourself too seriously. Take God seriously. I think Dave and Levi will tell you, I tend to be just a little intense. And so they're a great balance for me. And really the Word of God is such an anchor, because when you go through and you research and analyze, there's a time you have to just trust God. When you've heard from Him, we're going to go through and this is the property for us. But when something goes wrong, or let's just say we've got a situation where we discover a problem with the property, it's very tempting to step out of love, and it's kind of like going into a fear mode, because what I'm thinking about in that place is the temptation to think about, what's this going to cost me? What else might I find? And those aren't the thoughts that God wants us to have. So when we stay focused on a verse like this, and we know like our ultimate responsibility, or what pleases God, is to walk in love. And that actually extends trust to Him as well. Because I'm saying, Lord, I'm going to love my neighbor, right? I'm going to love this contractor, and I'm going to trust you that as I'm faithful to pursue this situation the way you've called me to, that you're going to help work it out for our good. And I can tell you that every time we've done it that way, every time that we've approached things in love, God's worked it out. So I hope this is an encouragement for you. Just stay close to God in your projects, if you're facing a challenge in your life, and let love lead you. Tap into that grace, that mercy, and ask God to empower you, even in difficult situations. We're in the carport at Coastal Farmhouse, and what you see here is an area that used to be just one blank, ugly concrete space that I think cars were parked in. We weren't sure when we got it, and all you really noticed was a lot of garbage cans. So when I saw a space like this, I thought, ooh, what could this be? And we created an outdoor living space, which really has a lot of lovely seating spaces. And you know what? I'm really surprised, but this is one of the best places for us to hang out in the morning and in the evening. So let me just share with you a few things that we did to create this cozy space. First of all, with curb appeal, it starts the moment that somebody pulls up in the driveway. We've got sea grapes here, which is really common in Florida, and it welcomes people in, along with a matching planter that goes with the trim of our house. I did that on purpose to kind of ground the eye so that it wasn't floating. Next, we paid a lot of attention to how we were going to enclose part of this space, but we are in Florida, so we need air to come through in those warm days and evenings. And so Levi designed this, and he did a great job. He and Justin built this completely. They figured out how to level it, even though there was some variations in the ceiling. And they created this space that gave us the feeling of privacy, even though our neighbors are right on the other side. So I thought, hey, what a better place to bring an outdoor dining table. And we're actually planning to be here during Thanksgiving, and we're gonna have our holiday meal right out here on the carport. Next, I like the conversation area. It's sort of become a standard or a staple of Sweet Tea hospitality. So I brought the Adirondack chairs here, and I cornered them so that it was a very comfortable conversation space, added a coffee table, some candlelight, some nice pillows to draw you in. And Dave and I actually had our morning coffee here this morning and enjoyed it tremendously. In the back here, we've got a space that would be a perfect place for a couple chairs. So I have the IKEA Adirondack chairs. These are in the same color as the trim. We added a nice decorative clock on the wall. And finally, over on this side, we kept a lamp on the outside, brought in palm trees to add greenery. And what you see here is what people see when they pull up. It just draws them in, and I believe makes people very happy that they booked a vacation rental right here in the Coastal Farmhouse.
I had a funny thing happen with you and the cedar boxes. I built these cedar boxes to go underneath the window. And then you got these great flowers from like Hobby Lobby to place in there to look really well, only to find out.
I'm calling Dave and I'm like, Dave, there's no bottom.
There's no bottom.
These cedar boxes.
You wanted a bottom?
So I was like, I don't know what to do. I can't use these cedar boxes.
Yeah.
And so what did we do? I was like, I'll call Justin and see if he can put some bottom. What were you thinking, by the way, to make them bottomless?
Well, I was thinking like rain would drop through, but I didn't quite think about holding plants. It's like a box for looks, you know.
Well, the box looks great. And we had to, thank goodness for Justin. He came in and bailed us out. Him and Levi did like screen, and then they like stapled it on the bottom, which works great,
it works
by the
great because you put things in there, and if there's water that needs to drop through.
So we seem to kind of do this, like we have these funny things happen and we're thinking, oh my gosh, what happened here? But then we find a solution and we're like, hey, this is better than what we would have done to begin with.
Yeah.
I think is that mercy or is that grace?
Well, I think it's serendipity for sure. You just find out as you go along. And that's the good part about doing your own projects is that you do learn as you go along. Yeah. And you've experienced things. You don't have to be a professional. No. I mean, I'm not, you are, but.
And we have fun. And then we have stories to tell you about. Thank you for joining us today on the Curb Appeal episode of the Coastal Farmhouse. We're just so excited that you joined us, and I hope that this has inspired you for your own vacation rental or for your own home. We had a lot of ideas that we shared and a lot of details that we are still going to finish, but overall we are thrilled with the result. I'm Karen Conrad. Thank you for watching Sweet Tea Hospitality. And to watch all of our episodes, go to sweettea.tv.